In this episode I will demonstrate Big Stitch Quilting. Hi, I'm Jo from Elsie Grays, and today I'm going to step you through part 2 of the Elizabeth Mary quilt and demonstrate Big Stitch Quilting. Now that you have seen part 1, here are some examples where I have used Big Stitch Quilting. On this quilt here, which is High Vintage Tea, I have come in 1/4 inch from the seam, and not that you can see this one, but I've just done a little stitch in the ditch. On this quilt I have stitched 1 inch apart using coloured threads that blend with the colours used in this quilt. And on this cushion, which is one of my faves, I experimented with black thread, which highlights the curves and complements the gingham and the background fabrics. I love the look of Big Stitch Quilting as it makes your quilt feel soft and crinkly. It's also a great option if you're not looking for the busy quilted look if you were to have it professionally machine quilted. It's also a cost-effective option as well as almost anyone being able to do it. Tools you need for Big Stitch Quilting is I always spray baste my quilts with 505 basting spray. I use long darners, DMC Pearl 8s, you can also use Pearl 12s, templates, a marking pen and a pair of scissors. On this sample piece, I've got my quilt top, my wadding and my backing, which again I have spray basted with the basting spray. I always start in the centre of my quilt and I'm just going to big stitch around the applique shapes. I always start the quilting from the middle of my quilt. I've put a small knot in the end of the thread and I'm just going to pop through there, making sure that I haven't come through the other side. And when you pull that through, you'll just hear a little popping sound. And then if there's any little tails like that, I just cut those. I don't use a hoop, I scrunch it up in my hands and I'm just going to stitch along that applique shape there. Just being fairly even with your stitches. And because I'm using a nice long needle, I can get, 5 to 6 stitches on the needle and I'm just pulling that through. Trying to keep your stitches nice and even. And I'm using my hand underneath to guide it through. Now I know a lot of the traditionalists out there will be freaking out about the size of the needle I use. You can use whatever size needle you're happy with. I like a long darner. Now see, I'm just going to go up here and down there. And then again, just running along the very edge of that applique piece. Now that stitch looked a bit big, so I'm just going to pull that one back a bit. Don't pull it too tight because then it'll start puckering. The reason I love doing big stitch quilting is I can sit in front of the TV and watch telly and quilt at the same time. When I'm quilting around the shapes, I like to use the same colour thread as my background fabric. So I'm just coming to the end of this first little round, and what I do, instead of tying off, I like to sort of sneak across. So I'm just going to pull my thread through to here. And you just have to make sure that you're, again, not going through the other side. No, perfect. And then I start doing this shape. So I ditch stitch all my shapes before I start quilting in the centres, and that anchors everything down. Once you've stitched in the ditch around all your shapes, now it's time to do some hand quilting in here. Now with my little template, I'm just going to mark a 1/4 inch with my marking pen. Now the pen I'm using is a Frixion pen. You can use a blue pen or the air erasing purple ones. Just remember, with the purple ones it will erase very quickly. These Frixion pens, just don't put any heat on them until you've finished your quilting. So I'm just marking that out. And then it sort of needs something in the centre here. So I'm just going to use a little circle and draw that around there. The good thing about marking it out is you can see what it's going to look like, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so now that's all drawn out, we're just going to use a different colour thread for this quilting in here, just to highlight the shape. And we've got quite a bit of mustard in this colour fabric, so I'm just going to use a mustard coloured thread, pop that through, and just follow your line again. Like I said, I like a nice long needle that I can get quite a few stitches on. Now when you're using a coloured thread, you need to get your stitches fairly even, and then it'll look nice and neat. Making sure that you're going right through the 3 layers. And we're just going to follow this shape all the way around in this nice mustard colour. Now I've just gone all the way around here, I'm just going to pop into there and do that circle. So again, I'm just going to slide that through, double checking, no, all good. Just saves you from tying off every 5 seconds. And then we're just going to go around here, and then I'll show you how to end your yarn and bury your threads. You can see how a quilt gets all soft and crinkly when you screw it up in your hands, and it feels beautiful. Okay. You can put any shape in there. You could put like a hexagon or an oval, any shape. So on my last stitch, I'm going to push my needle all the way through, turn my quilt over, pull that through, and I'm just going to do a knot, and I'm going to use my finger to hold that knot down. And then just where the thread's coming out, I'm putting my needle in, and I'm going to pull that through and pull that knot through. That didn't want to go then. And then just cut the thread. Even though I've been a machine quilter for 20 years, I love the look of Big Stitch Quilting. Gives it a handmade, timeless look. It's a really good idea to start on a small project like a cushion. Experiment using different coloured threads and shapes. If you make a mistake, it's easy to pull out and start again. I hope this tutorial inspires you to try Big Stitch Quilting. I highly recommend you giving it a go. Coming up in our next episode will be the latest release project, the Sleepy Hollow quilt using Tilda hibernation. In this episode, I will show you how to sew curved shapes using your sewing machine. The Elizabeth Mary quilt pattern is now available as a PDF download on our website, or we have pattern and template kits available. Thank you for watching part 2 of the Elizabeth Mary Quilt project. Please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for all the latest news and tutorials.